Whuppie. Once upon a time there was a man and a wife had too many children, and they could not get meat for them. So they took the three youngest and left them in a wood. They traveled and could see never a house. It began to be dark, and they were hungry. At last they saw a light and made for it. It turned out to be a house. They knocked at the door, and a woman came to it, who said, "What do you want?" They said, "Please let us in and give us something to eat." The woman said, "I can't do that, as my man is a giant, and he will kill you if he comes home." They begged hard. "Let us stop for a little while," said they, "and we will go away before he comes." So she took them in, and set them down before the fire, and gave them milk and bread. But just as they had begun to eat, a great knock came to the door, and a dreadful voice said, "Fie, I smell the blood of some earthly one. Who have you there, wife?" Said the wife, "It's three poor lassies cold and hungry, and they will go away. Ye won't touch them." Man, he said nothing, but ate up a big supper, and ordered them to stay all night. Now he had three lasses of his own, and they were to sleep in the same bed with the three strangers. The youngest of the three strange lassies was called Molly Whuppie, and she was very clever. She noticed that before they went to bed the giant put straw ropes around her neck and her sisters, and around his own lassies' necks he put gold chains. So Molly took care and did not fall asleep, but waited till she was sure everyone was sleeping sound. Then she slipped out of the bed, and took the straw ropes off her own and her sisters' necks, and took the gold chains off the giant's lassies. She then put the straw ropes on the giant's lassies and the gold on herself and her sisters, and lay down. And in the middle of the night up rose the giant, armed with a great club, and felt for the necks with the straw. It was dark. He took his own lassies out of bed onto the floor, and battered them until they were dead, and then lay down again. Thinking he had managed finely, Molly thought it time she and her sisters were off and away. So she wakened them and told them to be quiet, and they slipped out of the house. They all got out safe, and they ran, and never stopped until morning, when they saw a grand house before them. It turned out to be a king's house. So Molly went in, and told her story to the king. He said, "Well, Molly, you're a clever girl, and you have managed well, but if you would manage better, and go back, and steal the giant's sword that hangs on the back of his bed, I would give your eldest sister my eldest son to marry." Molly said she would try, so she went back, and managed to slip into the giant's house, and crept in below the bed. The giant came home, and ate up a great supper, and went to bed. Molly waited until he was snoring, and she crept out, and reached over the giant and got down the sword. But just as she got it out over the bed it gave a rattle, and up jumped the giant, and Molly ran out at the door and the sword with her, and she ran, and he ran, till they came to the bridge of one hair, and she got over, but he couldn't, and he says, "What worth ye, Molly Whuppie? Never ye come again." And she says, "Twice yet, Carl," quoth she, "I'll come to Spain." So Molly took the sword to the king, and her sister was married to his son.